seemed like an adventurous thrill was, in reality, a risky endeavor. Then, without warning, a piercing scream shattered the quiet Jack's scream. It was raw with agony.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Echoes of the Unknown. I'm your host, Jason, and today we have a chilling tale that is sure to send shivers down your spine. This story comes from a listener who wishes to remain anonymous. It's a tale of friendship, curiosity, and the terrifying unknown, so settle in, dim the lights, and prepare yourself for a journey into the haunted halls of an old school. Ghost is maybe she was that old teacher who was Kill ED.
It all began on a seemingly normal day, at a birthday party thrown by my best friend, who we'll call Emily. Nearly every one of our classmates attended, and we had a blast. As Emily cut her cake, the scent of extinguished candles filled the air, bringing a nostalgic comfort that had been absent for far too long. After we all calmed down from the excitement, I ended up talking to one of my friends, Rachel, who was a horror enthusiast just like me. She steered our conversation to the unsettling topic of our school's fourth-floor library, where our class was now located. Something about our school's fourth floor seemed off. The flickering lights, eerie noises from the library, and the unexplained disappearances of our belongings left an unsettling aura. Strange occurrences began as soon as our class relocated to the fourth floor. To provide context, our school was spread across 5 floors, each with 4 to 6 classrooms. However, the fourth floor stood apart. It hosted just 2 classrooms and a mysterious library that had remained locked away for years. It had become a place of mystery and fear, avoided by all, until I decided to change that. As we shared our concerns, the group joined in, each offering their own theories and fears. Suddenly, an idea struck me, and without thinking, I blurted out, "Why don't we use a Ouija board in the haunted library?" All eyes turned to me, some with amusement, others with terror. It was a reckless idea, but in that moment, I was more focused on unraveling the mysteries of the floor. Hesitantly, everyone agreed to my plan, and Rachel took charge of dividing us into groups of 3. Each group would investigate during lunchtime for 10 minutes, gathering information discreetly so teachers wouldn't suspect anything. What seemed like an adventurous thrill was, in reality, a risky endeavor. Little did we know, a Ouija board is not a toy, it's a tool for the paranormal, potentially allowing spirits to communicate through us by possession. That was something I wish we had understood before bringing my idea to life. Fast forward to the next day, one of us owned a Ouija board, inherited from their grandmother who had an interest in antiques and had bought it at an auction. Adrenaline rushed through me as I woke up and got dressed for school. I didn't know what to expect from the day ahead, but I felt a sense of pride for having sparked the idea. As soon as I entered the classroom, I saw all my friends, their faces filled with amusement and excitement. They gathered around me to discuss our plans for lunchtime, but we didn't have much time before our first class began. The classes before lunch felt like a drag. Time crawled by in our morning classes, each minute dragging like an eternity. With every tick of the clock, my impatience grew, and with every breath, fear heightened. The long-awaited hour had finally arrived. As soon as the last teacher left, the classroom fell silent, all eyes turning expectantly towards me and Rachel, who wore a mischievous grin. There was an unspoken anticipation hanging in the air, a mix of excitement and nervous energy. One thing I forgot to mention was that, since our class had an odd number of students, someone had to go in twice, and apparently, that someone was me. Rachel informed the class that because I had suggested and pitched the idea, I had earned the right to participate twice. As fate would have it, I found myself in the first group alongside Jack and Phoebe. With the Ouija board clutched tightly in my hands, we stepped out of the classroom with cheers and encouraging shouts from our classmates. It felt like we were embarking on a grand adventure, but deep down, a knot of unease twisted in my stomach. As we approached the library door, I grasped the handle and was surprised to find it swung open effortlessly. "Well, that was unexpected," I blurted out, Jack nodding in agreement beside me. Phoebe clung to my arm, her grip tight. I reassured her with a forced smile, promising that everything would be fine. Stepping into the library, darkness enveloped us like a heavy cloak. Jack pulled out his phone and turned on his flashlight with trembling hands and led the way. The air felt thick with mystery, and my heart pounded in my chest, a mix of fear and thrill coursing through me. The library enveloped us in pitch-black darkness, thick with the musty scent of ancient books and swirling dust that made us cough and choke. As we stumbled, suddenly the door slammed shut with a loud bang. Panic set in, and I froze in terror, completely unable to move. Phoebe screamed in fear, her voice echoing through the silence. Jack, sweat beading on his face, still tried to reassure both Phoebe and me, his eyes wide with panic. I could see the fear in his eyes. I don't think this was a good idea, guys," Phoebe stammered, her voice trembling with terror. We rushed to calm her down, suggesting that it was probably the wind or one of our classmates trying to scare us. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that it wasn't mere coincidence. I did not think it was any of those. I thought it was something to do with an evil entity present here. With just a little bit of courage left in all of us, we settled down in a circle on the dusty floor. I kept the Ouija board down, placing it on the flat surface, and together, we three placed our fingers on the planchette, ready to begin unraveling the mysterious tales of this library. We started the game by me asking out loud, "Is there any entity with us present? If you are, please say yes." My palms were sweaty, and I was breathless. Despite my nerves, I tried to maintain a composed expression for the sake of my friends. With a sudden force, my fingers moved swiftly to the letters YES on the Ouija board. I couldn't believe it against all odds. It seemed to work. Glancing at my friends with a mix of suspicion and wonder, I asked if either of them had moved the planchette. They shook their heads, their eyes wide with astonishment and a hint of fear. I mustered up the courage to ask another question, my voice trembling slightly with anticipation. "Who are you?" The room fell into an eerie silence, almost unnaturally still. The silence was too loud as we just sat there in anticipation, our hands still on the board. A desperate cry for help. My heart sank like a stone into my stomach, a heavy weight of guilt settling over me. Was this somehow my fault? Phoebe looked on the verge of tears, paralyzed with shock and fear. Panic surged through me, a thousand thoughts racing through my mind. I sprang to my feet, rushing to Jack's side. But what I saw froze me in horror. Jack was thrashing wildly, his eyes wide and fully white with terror. He was hitting himself frantically, as if trying to fend off unseen demons. Dread washed over me like a tidal wave. I screamed for help, my voice cracking with fear and desperation. Frantically, I bolted towards the library door, hoping to escape this nightmare. But the door was locked, and it wouldn't open, no matter how much we banged and desperately attempted to break it down. "Oh God! Oh God!" I muttered to myself in panic, the weight of the situation crashing down around me. What had I unleashed? What had I done? Tears stung my eyes as I pounded on the door, my fists hurting against its stubborn surface. Fear and guilt churned in my stomach, regret and helplessness weighing heavily on my mind. In that moment, stuck in the pitch-black library, I knew we were all caught in something we couldn't grasp or control. I sprinted to the Ouija board, swiftly moving the planchette to the goodbye mark. According to everything I had read, ending the session was crucial. It might stop and end the agony of Jack. But as soon as I did that, the library door flung open, and I saw a teacher and my classmates standing with worried expressions on their faces. Jack laid unconscious, as well as Phoebe on the floor, and soon exhaustion swept over me. My eyelids grew heavy, my legs giving way beneath me. With a final surge of adrenaline, I collapsed to the ground. I woke up in the hospital bed, greeted by the worried faces of my parents.